Listen, man, we got a great couple of guests coming on right now. You guys have been paying attention to ProBox TV for a while. You know that they have been doing Wednesday night fights. I think twice a month. Right over there, ProBox TV. I know you guys love everything that you've been seeing with ProBox TV. Right now, we're gonna bring on the CEO of ProBox TV, and then we'll bring in the two fighters in the main event. The fight takes place next Friday. So we're doing Friday night fights, also in DC, and this will be their first World Championship fight on ProBox TV. So right now, we're excited to bring to the PorterWay Podcast. I'm losing his damn name, Garry. Excuse me. I want to bring to the PorterWay Podcast.
That's crazy.
I was like,
that's crazy.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine. It's nice to see you. I don't think we've even shaken hands yet. So happy to meet the boss.
Well, it's nice to meet for the first time on your show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How's everything?
Fit. So how's everything going over there?
Yeah, it's going great. Listen, I gotta ask you though. How's everything going with ProBox TV? I know you had some really big goals when you started out, and just tell me where you think ProBox TV is now.
You know, I think it's slow and steady. You know what I mean? I like to think of ourselves more like the turtle than the rabbit. And I feel like you've seen a lot of people come into boxing, Triller, Rock Nation. A lot of people come and go fast. And we decided we wanted to take it easy, go slow, and let it develop, right? And you know, you build your product, right? And then you build your audience. And then eventually you monetize, but you can't rush. So I think we're growing in the right way. Boxing scene was a strong acquisition for us to build up the news.
Absolutely.
The talk show's been great. You guys have been doing great. You guys are getting millions and millions of views a month. So the brand is growing, and I think people appreciate the Wednesday night fights. It's evenly matched action fights. That's the theme. We've been grabbing fighters that have just not made it onto DAZN and ESPN, and putting them in 50-50 fights against each other. And I think the fans have really appreciated it.
Absolutely. If you wouldn't mind, can we kind of go back a little bit? Paulie was telling me about the origin of ProBox TV. Would you mind telling that story? Or, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that I'll tell it. I'll try to make it short and sweet, but most people may or may not know I was partners with Mike Tyson back with Iron Mike Productions. And we had a nice 2-year run. We were growing quickly and doing some interesting things. We had Lubin, we had Sammy Vasquez Jr., Juan Carlos Payano, or Henny Mendez. And next thing you know, Waddell and Reed and Heyman Group announced they got funded and they bought all the television rights. So on one day, I got a call from Fox, Spike, Showtime, and ESPN saying, we're no longer going to be able to work with you guys unless you buy the time. So Mike Tyson and I had a quick conversation. We said, look, if we've lost TV, these guys got to fight. We're not going to get in the way of the fighters. And we agreed. I took 12 fighters over in one day over to Heyman's place. You know, that's probably when you saw me a little bit, Shawn, hanging around the Heyman shows. I brought all those fighters over and we shut it down. But I kind of promised myself that if I come back, I'm coming back as a TV network. I'm not coming back as a promoter. I felt like TV has let boxing down, right? It's always been filler content, priorities, the NFL, the NBA. And I think that, you know, that needed to change. So from my perspective, I decided to come back that way. So I waited it out. Sports streaming technology came of age, and then I decided to jump back in with ProBox TV, your boxing channel. And I'm enjoying being on the television side of it rather than the promotional side.
How did you put this world-class fighters together? Shawn Porter, Paulie Malignaggi, Tim Bradley. How did that come by? Who idea was that?
And the Spanish side too. I mean,
yeah. I mean, look, I think boxing needed supporting content. That's why I call it the boxing channel, like the golf channel, the tennis channel, NBA TV. It needs more self-promotion in news and talk show, like what you guys are doing now. And so, you know, for me, it was logical. Let's get a daily talk show. Let's hit it hard. Let's do it in studio. Let's give it some polish and do it right. try to reach the levels of the NBA and the NFL. That's what the U.S. or American sports fan is used to. That's the standard. Boxing's got to start to reach that standard. So the next thing was logical. I mean, when you're talking about Shawn, I mean, he's well-spoken, right? He's in the prime of his career. He's up and coming as a commentator and a personality. Fans love him. They want to hear from Shawn. They want to hear from Paulie. They want to hear from Chris. So I just took it upon myself. I think I have the opinion that I know these commentators and know what the fans like and know who will make the best commentators and talk show opinion hosts. And so, I reached out to them and, thankfully they all agreed.
Absolutely.
And we came to terms. But yeah, to me, it was a logical choice.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tate.
Gary, just watching ProBox TV, it feels very inspired by kind of the best in studio segments of when Brian Kenny, Max Kellerman, and those guys would do Friday night fights, and definitely has like that Friday night fights feel. And, it's interesting in 2024, you see Pat McAfee kind of taking the YouTube mold to television and talking heads outside of ESPN. It looks a lot different now. It looks like streamers and influencers, but ProBox TV kind of has that traditionalism to it where, like I said, McAfee is bringing YouTube to TV. This is more like bringing TV quality production to YouTube. And just ultimately, like, how much of that is the vision and what is the bigger vision? And do you want to just kind of fill that vacuum that Friday night fights and now Showbox has left behind? Or ultimately, do you want to do bigger scale fights and just everything there, Gary?
That's a great question. I think that originally when people started streaming, they were doing it and they were lucky. I mean, it's fortunate that people are able to do it without a massive production. They're able to do it out of their home, their living room, and it gave an opportunity to a lot of creators to do things. But at the same time, we knew it was going to evolve to where streaming is just the way TV's delivered. That's just the way it's going to be delivered. Everybody's cutting the cord. So now you're seeing DAZN is streaming, but DAZN looks more like ESPN, right? And then ESPN Plus shows up. So streaming is just going to be the way TV's delivered. And so we came at it with wanting to approach it from a studio setting. It's just to set that bar as being major league production. Mm-hmm. And that's what the sports fans used to. So that really was the impetus. Now, it's your question about where does it end? No, we plan to step to contender level fights soon. And then we plan to step to championship level fights. There's no reason not to take it all the way up the ladder. You got to build it slowly. When DAZN came in and they signed Canelo, a $365 million deal, and they signed Golovkin, those of us in the know in the industry know that Bob Arum and Al Heyman just laughed. They said, who are they going to fight? Mm-hmm. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? You can say, I want to step to championship boxing or contender level fights, but you got to have the fighters and you got to have someone for them to fight.
Yep.
So Canelo ended up fighting, a bunch of guys from the UK for like the first 2 years. Yep. And that doesn't cut it. So you got to grow it slowly. And so we've done a good job now. We've got some good recruits and we're going to continue to move up that ladder as far as the talent's concerned. But again, it also is that we're doing it very differently. I don't give the shows to promoters. Everyone traditionally in TV relied on the promoter. Mm-hmm. So when I was a promoter, I was trying to get dates from Showtime and ESPN. And we all call it getting dates.
Right.
I don't get dates.
Right.
We have the background to be able to make really good fights. Mm-hmm. I work with promoters and I work with managers, but I tell them, no, I'm not giving you the date. You bring your fighter, and I'm going to match him with somebody that I want to match him with. And I'm going to control the quality for the fans. So, and as soon as you give that show to your promoter or a promoter, you're in conflict. The promoter's not worried about the fan. The promoter's worried about his fighter winning. Mm-hmm. And like Shawn and Paulie, Chris, they all know, I don't even go in the ring. Yeah. I don't care who wins. The fan has to win. Yeah. I go to the show knowing that this is a 50-50 fight and it's an action fight. And I work real hard to make sure of it. And I kind of laugh when I see the coaches and the managers and everybody's biting their nails and they're real nervous, but that's our job. And if I know the managers and the promoters are nervous, I know the fans are entertained.
Absolutely.
So
Listen,
it is a change in boxing because in the past, all the promoters want to do is make sure their fighter won.
yeah.
Well, inevitably, that conflict of interest makes it a bad product for the fan. So we're going to step to contender level next year, where we start raising the purses and start spending, serious, decent money on guys in the top 10 fighting each other. That costs more money. I'll call that contender level, right?
Yeah.
And then we're going to step to championship, but we got to grow into that slowly.